Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome back to Who'd Win and Why. And this time we've got Olimar from Pikmin going up against Ant-Man from Marvel. Now, both of these characters are extremely tiny, funny-looking, and noble heroes, and they both almost always have their own form of backup close by. But today it's time for me to decide who I think would win between these two in a one-on-one battle to the end. So, who'd win and why? Let's find out! Alright, so first I'm going to talk about Olimar. Obviously, Olimar is the main character of the Pikmin video games, and he has discovered every single type of Pikmin that, well, has been uncovered. He may not look that physically intimidating, especially considering that he doesn't even stand 4 centimeters tall, even with his spacesuit on, but after you look more into him, you can tell that he's definitely more than meets the eye. The best weapons in Olimar's arsenal are, not surprisingly, the Pikmin themselves, and using a whistle that he carries around with him, he can control and command the Pikmin that he chooses to. And not only that, but the Pikmin seem to love to follow him around on his journeys, possibly even looking up to him as a hero or a father figure. He can also pull Pikmin out of the ground, assuming that he comes across any, which would only add to his Pikmin following and, evidently, help him in his journeys. The Pikmin are often used to help Olimar fight against enemies, to help destroy any immediate obstacles in their path, and even more. There are even different types of Pikmin which can do different things and help get past specific obstacles, including a yellow Pikmin which carries bombs, a blue Pikmin which can operate underwater, and even Pikmin that can fly. So they may be tiny creatures, but they can also do way more than one might expect. However, Olimar does not leave all of the fighting up to the Pikmin. Olimar's most formal physical attack is when he launches a big punch attack at an enemy in order to hurt or weaken it. And he can even perform a 3-hit combo by punching an opponent 3 times as soon as he finds the Rocket Fist, which is obtained after he trades in the treasure known as Brute Knuckles. So he's not the most formidable fighter out there, but he definitely knows how to defend himself, and he has the Pikmin by his side if he really gets in any serious danger. In order to help with his maneuverability, Olimar also carries around a jetpack, and while it is limited in terms of how long he can use it at a certain time, it does allow him to fly, and it allows him to reach places that he would not be able to reach normally. However, if he does this, then the Pikmin that are not able to fly are not able to follow him there, so it does run a certain risk. Olimar is also significantly smarter than you may think. Not only is he a good pilot and a pretty good leader, but he also seems to take an interest in biology, and he takes notes on everything that he encounters in his journeys, from the treasures he collects to the enemies that he fights. However, while Olimar does have a surprising amount of combat experience considering the character that he is, it is worth noting that he can get frustrated if things that aren't too important to him go wrong. On top of that, oxygen is extremely deadly to him, so if his suit were to ever get severely damaged, he's pretty much as good as dead. But even with Olimar's handicaps, he is still not a character that should be underestimated in any sense. He may be small and he may not be the toughest, but with the Pikmin by his side, you can bet that he's the discoverer that will always get the job done. Alright, so now it's time to talk about Ant-Man. Now, there have been a number of characters that have taken up the Ant-Man mantle over the years, but today we're going to be focusing on Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man and the creator of the oh-so-famous Pym particles, which obviously grant Ant-Man his signature ability: shrinking. Ant-Man is capable of shrinking to incredibly small heights, whether that be to the size of an ant or even smaller, and every size in between, thanks to the Pym particles that he's worked into his suit. He can shrink so small that he becomes submicroscopic, and he can enter a subatomic universe of sorts, also known as the microverse, and supposedly other planes of existence as well. He even retains his normal strength level no matter how small he shrinks, which is a trait that allows him to be both deadly and hard to hit. Ant-Man is also capable of growing to impressive heights, which obviously greatly increases strength and durability. He can grow up to hundreds of feet tall and even greater, with the only real drawback being a significant strain on his speed. While his normal strength level may not be anything that's special, as soon as he gets up to 100 feet, he can lift up to 50 tons, and his strength only increases as he increases. And like how he can shrink down to the microverse, he can grow to the point where he reaches overspace, which is where he could theoretically interact with some cosmic entities. So clearly the scope of this guy's shrinking and growing is absolutely ridiculous. The most helpful item in Ant-Man's arsenal, other than the Pym particles, would definitely be his helmet, which allows him to telepathically communicate with insects, more specifically ants. And he can use this in a variety of ways, such as riding an ant for transportation on land or in the air, or he could even just summon an entire army of ants in order to aid him during battle. He also carries around a toolbot, which is a small device that allows him to store hundreds of other items by shrinking them to fit, and they will grow once he's ready to use them. And with this, he carries around a key, a mini computer, an energy sword, and even more. He also carries around a stun beam, which he calls the Stinger, in order to use for long-range attacks. As we all know, Hank Pym is extremely intelligent, and he is very competent in many different scientific fields, including biochemistry, subatomic physics, robotics, and much more. He is believed to be one of the 5 smartest people in the entire world, and he was even once called the Scientist Supreme by the cosmic entity known as Eternity. Along with all of his book smarts, he has also had a fair amount of training in judo, karate, wrestling, and he even trained under Captain America for a short time, making him very formidable in hand-to-hand combat. So he doesn't just have to rely on his ants or his size-changing abilities. Ant-Man has had a lot of experience being a hero, as he was one of the 5 founding members of the Avengers, and he's fought countless foes over the years alongside them. In fact, he's been doing this for so long that he's had at least 5 different superhero codenames over the course of his career. However, Hank Pym is much more of a pacifist than a willing fighter, and he would much rather talk things over than resort to brute force. It's also pretty clear that his mental state has not been the best at times, which has led him to divorcing the Wasp, going to jail, and of course, accidentally creating the ultimate evil AI known as Ultron. Ant-Man definitely isn't a perfect hero, but he is still a good man at his core. With or without the Avengers, the brilliant Hank Pym will always be there to bug the bad guys and save the day. Alright, so now that I've gone over both of these characters, it's finally time for me to decide who I think would be the winner of this fight. And I gotta say, this fight was ridiculously close. Like, when you really analyze both of these characters deeply, it becomes extremely difficult to try to find who has the solid advantage. For example, you have one guy whose size can range from small enough to enter the microverse to big enough to enter overspace, and who carries a crap ton of shrunken items with him, and then you have another guy who's just under 4 centimeters tall, and who carries around a whistle and a time-limited jetpack. So it's really hard to decide who would win with facts like these. On the one hand, you have a guy that can telepathically summon swarms of ants to help him in battle, and on the other hand, you have a guy that is followed around by a limited number of tiny people that can help him get through some obstacles. So you guys can tell that it's really hard to judge a fight that is this close. You also have to take into account that one of these guys has had training in multiple martial arts and learned the ways of unarmed combat from Steve Rogers himself, and then the other guy can perform a 3-punch combo after getting a rocket fist. So it was at this point where I really thought I was going to have to call this one a draw because the margins here are just so small. On top of all of this, one of these guys has had experience in many different scientific fields, has been considered one of the top 5 smartest humans in the entire world, and was called the Scientist Supreme by a cosmic entity, whereas the other guy is a spaceman who likes biology. So that really makes me think that in my opinion, the winner is Ant-Man. So guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I know that Who, When, and Why has been away from the channel for a pretty long time now, and I'm sorry to have the next episode after all that time be more of a joke fight, but as soon as I looked more into this episode, I thought to myself, I know exactly how this video is going to go down. So, sorry not sorry. But if you did enjoy this video, please give this video a huge like. I always appreciate the likes. Comment down below what you thought of it, what you thought of the video, what you thought of the fight, anything like that, anything you want to comment down. And if you guys could subscribe to my channel, that'd be so great. That would really help my channel out, and I would love to have you guys along for the ride. But no matter what you do, your view is plenty of contribution. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And it's finally time for me to reveal what the next time on Who, When, and Why is. It's the Season 9 finale, and it's going to be Bugs Bunny versus Mickey Mouse. I'm really excited for it. I hope you guys are excited for it too. And yeah, that's it for me. I guess I'll see you all then. Peace out.